Oh, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a former teacher who had a side hustle of reselling online. I taught for 13 years and I've had an eBay store for 20. Now I have left teaching and I'm doing reselling full-time online. Today, I'm going to show you some items that I've sold in the last 2 weeks. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to kind of give you a mixed bag of some items I've sold over the past couple weeks. Obviously, I'm not going to show you every item, but it's just a mixed bag of some things. Now it's winter, the end of winter, spring's right around the corner, so it's a really weird time of year to be selling items. You know, people are hesitant to buy those heavy winter items, but maybe not quite ready to buy the spring items, but things still sell. So this is a sale right here. It's the first time I've sold this brand, Relwyn. Sold it for $67. I picked it up for, I think, $5.99. It's got this quilted kind of look and quilted on the material. Very nice. First time I found it, so I'll know to pick that up every time. Next item I sold, actually, this was a retail arbitrage. And for those that you don't know, that's when you go to a retail store and you pick something up for their cost and resell it online. Now, I picked these up from Ross for I think around $18. And the thing I liked about this was I picked up multiple pairs for $18, $19. And you can see it sold for $45. So you list it once and they just keep selling. I wish I could find more of those. But those are called like the elephant corduroy. They're the big heavy corduroy Levi's, and the reason I knew to pick these up is because I've sold them in the vintage style right out the gate, the silver tab, and I figured, well, if the vintage style sells, I bet the new style sells too. So sold those. I think I bought 8 of them so to double my money, list it once. It's super easy. It's all about efficiency. Next item I sold was this zero restriction jacket, and usually I don't buy zero restriction just because it's kind of a mid-tier golf brand, but it had this special logo on it, and I found out it was a golf course in Florida that only members can buy their merchandise. So it's a PGA Tour golf course. This would probably sell for around, I don't know, $25 if it didn't have this logo right here, but it did sell for $50. Next item is a Polo Sport, like flannel. Usually I do not pick up Polo Sport anymore. It's 2023. 2018, 19, Polo Sport was the hot thing to wear. Everyone wanted that. It's not as hot anymore unless it's unique. Now, this had metal buttons. It was a flannel. Whether it be Polo Sport or not, it was an item for someone to have. $30, 5 into 30. I like that margin. That's kind of like my go-to margin. And again, Polo Sport I don't pick up usually, but if it's unique enough, I will. The next item I sold is, again, only $16, and I'm not going to show you guys all base hits. You know, this is the real world. This is real life of eBay full-time selling. You have your bread and butter items. This just a University of Oxford crew neck. It's vintage, I guess you would say, from the late 90s. I saw them selling online, like super good sell-through rate. Picked it up for $4 and $16. I think it sold in like 3 days, so I was fine with that. Here we go. Kind of a home run. These overalls from Carhartt were $10, and they had, I didn't know how they do, so I listed them up at auction, and they had this giant hole in them. But people who wear these types of Carhartt insulated material items, they don't seem to care about this type of stuff. They'll probably patch it up and put it to work. It's still good material. It was a good size, 38 with a long length of 34, $73, again, 10 into 73. I'll pick up Carhartt at the right price just about every time. So again, getting into some women's clothing, here's Vince, and I know Vince because it sells in both men's and women's. And this seems special because this material was like a lamb's wool on the center part and a nice leather on the sleeves, and it would just seem like a high quality piece being Vince. Size wasn't my favorite, extra small, but again, for $5.99 and a 50, I picked that up. And by the way, that was kind of a longer tail item. I think that I picked that up last season, so that took about a year to sell. Vintage Nike. Now again, with vintage Nike, it used to be better. In 2018, 19, 20, it was much of a better sale than it is now, but I still, for $5 and a 27, I'll pick it up. It has to have something like that big air on the back. The front wasn't super unique, kind of had that kangaroo pouch, what they call it. But if it has that big giant air on the back and it stands out and it just screams like, look at me, I'm going to pick it up. Right here, I'm trying to steer away from shoes, to be honest. I'm kind of clearing out my inventory just because they take up space and they take up so much time. Yes, the returns can be really good on shoes. And I will pick up shoes if I don't have to clean them. But these were just a pair of Jordans and sold for $34. And actually, I think I took a little less because they were promoted. Not the best condition. But again, with shoes, you have all the different sizes and all the different styles. But the main thing are the sizes. It can take a long time for a pair of shoes to sell, and they take up so much space. So trying to get rid of my shoes. All right, so I picked this up. Again, it screams, look at me, like that Nike Guess. And it has an all over print, and it's actually a newer tag, newer style. It's not vintage, but it's made to look vintage. Picked it up for $4.99. $4.99 are how much sweatshirts are here, not hoodies, sweatshirts. And $4.99 into 25. I like that. So that was a good little pickup for me. This brand right here, I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Robert Graham. Robert Graham is definitely hit or miss. I am always like on the fence of picking it up, but if it's a pop out unique style, like these little flowers and this collar and the flip cuff, it kind of popped more than usual than just a stripes or a muted plaid. So I picked this up. I actually threw this one up at auction. I only put up auctions for about maybe 1% of my items, but threw this up at auction. It went for $44, so I was kind of surprised. This right here, Peter Millar. I'll always pick up Peter Millar if it's in good condition and at the right price. I don't have what it's sold for here, but the reason I'm showing it to you is because it's a college logo Peter Millar, and college logo stuff has just been selling great for me. I mean, you saw Oxford, anything that's a university, well-known, especially in sports, it's been selling if it's in the right brand. Now, if this was an Ashford, I wouldn't pick it up. But Peter Millar, for the right price, I think this sold for $50. Okay, FootJoy. Again, a bread and butter item. These they don't go for a ton. You pay $4 for them. But if you think about the return, if you told any investor, I want to put my $4 into $16 as soon as possible, they would say that could take a while. I mean, that's 3 times return. But if you just scale it down and do it over and over and over again, it adds up. So FootJoy is a brand I pick up. I already have the template for it. I can literally list it and take pictures in probably a minute or two, and they sell for this kind of lower price. The market is flooded with it. They used to sell for over $20 for me. Some of them still do, but this particular one wasn't super desirable with that Kierland logo on it. Again, another bread and butter item, Polo Ralph Lauren. This is kind of a new thing I've started this year in 2023. Picking up these bread and butter items that take me 2 seconds to photograph and list just because I have the template ready. If I find them, if I run across them, why not pick them up and list them? Again, I'm running across them. It takes me 2 minutes to take pictures of them, and they usually sell within a few weeks. So made $10 on that. Might as well. So 10 and 10, two things I wouldn't normally pick up. There's $20, and it took me probably 4 minutes to list. Here's kind of a unique item. It's a military jacket from, I think, the 50s. And it sold for $69. These are called field jackets, and I pick these up every time as long as they are priced right. Again, really anything under $15, I'll buy it. And again, you have to look at the tags. You have to make sure they're true vintage, because every company's making these field jackets, and they aren't truly vintage, and they bring money, but the vintage ones really do bring the most. So that one was a good sale, 69 bucks. I like picking up LL Bean flannel lined shirts, flannel lined pants, $22. Again, I marked this one down trying to get rid of it before the spring comes, because I know I'll probably hold it until the fall. So mark that one down, 22 bucks. I think I paid $6 for those. Right here are a couple pairs of performance Callaway golf shorts. These sold literally overnight. Again, I don't usually pick up Callaway, but because of the they're right there, and I feel like if I can get these items that don't bring as much, but if I can list them quick or group them together and sell them within a week, it's worth it to me. So I paid $3.99 a piece, so $8 into 29, and they sold overnight. I mean, that was worth it. Super easy to take these pictures. Done. Into 30. Next item I picked up, again, a bread and butter item, is just an RLX shirt. I mean, these add up, especially if you can sell them within a week or two. This is the RLX. It didn't have any logos on it. So for you not familiar, it's RLX is Ralph Lauren's golf brand. I'm really not sure if they make it anymore, but it's like a wiki material. Again, $4.99 into 18, and it sold practically overnight. This is kind of unique. People pass these up all the time just because they're kind of a pain to list, because you have to take all sorts of measurements and a lot of pictures. But this was a Ralph Lauren trench coat, and it was in like unworn condition with the wool liner, and the hood had that corduroy. It just screamed quality. And so I saw them going for around $70, $100. But again, with the spring coming, I'm like, you know what? Throw it up for 50, paid 10, let's get it out the door. So that's kind of what I did. This next one, it was a super fun one. I put it up for auction. Everyone knows vintage t-shirts bring money, and everyone knows The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, or Maui. He's got a lot of names these days, but yeah, this guy even had a hole in the shirt, but it sold for $189. So Rock in really bad condition, really, and with a hole in it, still sold for $189. I don't look through the t-shirt section just because it takes so much time. I found this at an estate sale and I picked it up for just a couple bucks. Now, this is a brand I don't pick up anymore very often. The only reason I picked this up is because it had that acid wash, but it's a pair of True Religions, and they just don't bring what they used to. You know, they were popular in the, 2011, 2010, 2012. People still wear them, obviously, they sold. But I just don't pick them up as much unless they're more of a skinny leg, or they had the flap pockets, or they have something unique, like this had the acid wash. So $6.99 into 37, I picked those up. Here again, I'm trying to stay away from sports coats. It's really hard because they can bring really good money. They're really nice material. You can see this is silk and wool blend. It is a E. Thomas, and this is a specific tailor in Chicago. It sold for $34. I get these dirt cheap, and so it's really hard for me not to want to sell these. But again, you have to take all sorts of measurements, you know, the width, the length, and the arms and the shoulders and everything on them. But they do sell well. You know, the least I'll take, or the least I'll get into one of these, is if I can make, $40 and I buy it for $5 or $6. If it's only selling for $25, I'm not going to waste my time. Here was a good find. Doesn't have the price up here, but I think I sold it for 70. It's just a Patagonia nano puff jacket with that Primaloft. It's not down. It's that Primaloft material. And as you know, I mean, Patagonia is a little hit and miss. It used to be a lot hotter, but if it's the right material or the right style, like these things right here, these are going to sell every day, all day, especially at the right price. So 70 bucks sold that for. I'm sure they're like 160, 180 new. Here's a brand, Orvis. Orvis, I know you're familiar with, I'm sure, but this was unique. It had these elbow patches that were leather, and it was a thick flannel, and it was a 2XL. So I knew it had the special, unique features to it, and I knew it would probably sell pretty quick and for decent money. Normally an Orvis shirt that's just a button-up would probably sell for like $15, $12, if that. But because of the style of this shirt, it did command $30 almost. Last but not least, here is a bread and butter. Golf season's coming up again. It's a weird time of year. You know, that January, February, where people aren't wanting to spend on the spring and summer quite yet, but the people are starting to come out of the woodworks. It's sold for $21. Just a simple polo that's by Puma. I do the Under Armour, Nike, just any of these. And I just take very few pictures, just front, in the back, and the measurements, and that's it. If it has any flaws, I'll definitely point those out, but this one didn't. 20 bucks. This is a brand probably not many of you have heard about. Ruel. It's actually a brand of Abercrombie that was higher end. So in maybe the early 2000s, this was a line of Abercrombie. They had a store in New York. I'm not sure if they sold it in their retail stores around the country, but this brand, look for it, and it sells every time. It doesn't matter if it's a t-shirt, sweatshirt. This is actually the first pair of jeans I found, but you know, $6 into 33, no problem. Some of those items I showed you were from in January. But for the first week of February, I've sold 84 items for an average sale price of $45. I'd like to get that up, but this is, like I mentioned earlier, a tough time of year because it's that transitional time of year. Taxes are due, all sorts of things, but I don't like to make excuses. I just like to list and keep pushing through. All right, viewers, welcome back to Studio A. I really appreciate you joining me today. If you're new to this channel or you are a subscriber, please give me a thumbs up or a comment below if you like this type of content, because this is how I learned during my journey of reselling, watching others and what others sold stuff for, and it always changes. So I want to continue to bring you the best content possible, but I want to bring you what you want to watch. So again, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you want something different or still like this content, subscribe down below. I'd love to bring you items and how much they sell for, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.